Good evening. Thanks for joining us on this special episode of Young Turks, India's longest-running show on startups and entrepreneurship. We now turn 20. India is today home to more than 100 unicorns. Many of them started their journey right here on Young Turks. From Flipkart to Snapdeal, from Zomato to Paytm, to Make My Trip, Shaadi.com and many more. All of these companies that are household names today made their first pitch on the Young Turks platform. Here's a look back at the early days of some of India's startup founders.
We thought that we should have a website development company which actually develops small websites for all these restaurants in Delhi which do not actually have web presence, right? So what actually happened was that we got around 3 or 4 clients and they were paying us 20,000-25,000 each. And then suddenly this idea struck us that why are we actually creating separate websites for different restaurants? We should just create one website and all of these restaurants should be on the website. So the customer value proposition that we are able to give to the customer is actually much more than each of these separate sites would have. So that was the start of FoodieBay. The primary pitch that we have for these VCs is that we are already the #1 food portal in the country, and we are all set to grow to a much larger scale, right? And we have already proven our success in 3 cities in India so far, and trying to expand into more cities will obviously take more capital, and the new revenue models we are thinking of will actually need huge capital expenditure. So these are the things which for which we need funding, and we also need to market the website quite a lot more to get the name in front of customers. So in total, to actually sustain ourselves for the next 18 to 24 months, we are looking for around $1 million of funds.
You were from a sort of, small town in UP. You came from a family of teachers, of educationists. Did you not want to sort of go get a nice paycheck, work for a reputed company, maybe a multinational? Why the decision to take that risk at 19?
There were 2 things. I learned one thing for sure, that money plays a big role in life. It might not be everything. And I learned if you have to aim, then aim right. And my aim became something very large, which I don't believe that I could ever complete when I'm 30. It was becoming and having a market cap of $1 billion at the age of 30.
Since 2006, when I was there at Young Turks, we were looking to fundraise that point of time, and the first round of funding was still pending. As we speak today, we've raised 2 rounds of funding already, and as we speak, we are preparing for an IPO, and times for the company has never been same again after coming on Young Turks, I'd say.
We started an offline couponing business. Our experiences in the offline couponing business, and the deep relationships we built across the country with tens of thousands of retailers proved very helpful when we saw the upsurge in the digital commerce space. Right? So the moment the digital commerce started taking off, we realized that when we put all this inventory of deals that we have, which is currently being distributed offline, online, a lot of consumers will flock to the service. We believe that going forward, the kind of orbital changes we are seeing on the mobile, in terms of new technologies being introduced, whether it's video on the mobile, which is 3G, mobile wallets, location-based services, all of these will play a key role in a business like ours. eBay made an investment in our company. It's atypical for large multinational $75 billion companies, market cap companies, to come make financial investments in emerging market businesses, right? So there are multiple layers of the onion that need to be peeled for them to get comfortable to do that. And the reason they are getting comfortable is because they are also very confident the size of the market is increasing very fast.
Yeah.
So e-commerce will go from $1.5 billion to about $40-50 billion market in the next 10 years. back in 2009, I remember we were a small company, but we had to pay 5 lakhs of salaries, and which is more similar to companies in the early stages. We were left with 5 lakhs and, we had to pay 5 lakhs of salaries, and me and Rohit were left with about 5 lakhs in our bank account. That was a moment of truth for us where we could have walked away, or we could have said, let's just go all in, nothing left. We decided to do the latter. And so there are many such examples, of course, where, heart-wrenching denials from investors or potential partners. But you have to just, you have to steamroll through. You just have to keep going at it.
Last month, we actually generated a profit at a company level, which is a pretty big deal, not only at Snapdeal, but also probably for our industry. I think that's a signal of times to come, where not only in the e-commerce sector, I think in the broader internet startup economy, we're going to see this broader behavioral shift. I think one of my big learnings is, which is obvious to most of the traditional consumer companies, but all consumers aren't the same in India, and all of them don't want to buy the same products from the same destination. And sharply focusing on a segment of the market is very, very crucial for sustaining growth. Focus, number one, is on creating the best and most relevant consumer experience to address the very large market of regional brands. We have a very cardinal rule in our company. We don't want to lose money on anything we sell. And we are happy to not sell it if we don't make money on it.
Books is something that has a low transaction size. A book comes for as low as 100 rupees. So it's very easy for the customer to trust you with that first transaction. So rather than, let's say, if you're selling mobile phones or cameras, so it's very difficult for the customer to trust you with the 5,000 rupees order if you're a new company, right? So if you're an unknown.
You, Sachin, 5 years ago, when you envisioned where Flipkart was going to be, what was the dream that you actually had?
5 years ago, we had no idea where this was going. We didn't expect this to happen. Over time, we have been able to expand our horizons and be able to see more and more of the market.
There must have been a one-line vision statement, mission statement. What was it? There was no napkin moment that happened.
The one line was that online shopping should work in India, and we will make it work.
Sachin Bansal, it's good to have you back with us here.
After Flipkart, I took some time to understand where the banking space was, where the financial services space was.
Sweatshirts, t-shirts, collared shirts, shirts, and more shirts, but nothing that matches your mood, speaks your mind, or reflects your attitude. How often have you spent hours staring into your closet, hoping you could recreate your wardrobe and add that personal touch?
If you have a product and design in mind, you can select the product, you can upload your own photograph, or you can write a creative text or use online tool to basically make your own design. You can preview it, and if you like it, you can place the order and pay by credit card, net banking, or check. Or you're looking for something unique but you're not sure, you can search on our website. We have a community of over 3,000 designers that are continuously publishing creative designs. Every day we get over 100 designs. So let's say you search for a particular keyword, and if you find you like any design, you can place an order for that design. The designer will earn royalty from whatever the 10% royalty of the sales price.
As we entered into the whole SMS search space, we realized that it's a nice enough space, but we didn't believe that we could make it big in that specific space. So instead of trying to go deeper into that space over the next few years, we felt that we had to take a hard decision, which is fairly emotional, by the way. There is a lot of consumers in the world and in India that are using their mobile phones for going onto the internet.
Sure.
When they go on the internet, whether they go through browsers or they use applications, the advertising appears next to those browsers, in those browsers or in those applications. Those ads are served by us. roughly about 4 to 5 billion users will be across the world, will be using mobile internet to access information and content. When that happens, you'll be very challenged to find any other medium with that level of scale. Our belief is that there will be two kinds of people in the world. One who have entered the space and will basically say, great that we entered at the right point of time. Others will be on the sideline and will be saying, what just happened?
He started telling me about what he did, and I got intrigued. So I said, how many can you carry? And he said 50 or 100 biodata. I said, how many people do you see every month? And he said, oh, about 50. So I said, okay, so the choice of my life partner, I beg your pardon, is then limited by the weight you can carry and how far you can travel. And he kind of said yes, cheekily, but I started to think, and I said, why not take this stuff and put it on the internet so there's no geographical limitations at least.
Well, so much has changed for so many of those startups and so many of those companies that you just saw there. Now, two people credited with fostering a startup ecosystem are Sanjeev Bikhchandani of InfoEdge and Saurabh Srivastava of the Indian Angel Network. They've been regular fixtures here on Young Turks over the years, answering questions from young entrepreneurs. Here's a masterclass from Sanjeev Bikhchandani and Saurabh Srivastava.
When we first met VCs for the first time in mid-99, and that time it was the bubble and exuberance, and we were running out of my home. And these guys who had come in from the US had told us, so we'll put in so much money and then you spend on advertising, and then we second round at twice the valuation, then we'll go public on NASDAQ in 1 year. And that was a complete bouncer. It just went over my head. I said, look, we can't list Pahadgan and forget about NASDAQ. What are you talking about? So we said, these guys are dangerous. You let them into the company with the disproportionate rights in the shareholder agreement, you know what will happen. So we said, look, we built the business the hard way last 10 years. We bootstrapped. We don't mind doing it without more money right now. It's okay. We walked away. Listing our company put us in a different strategic space vis-a-vis competition, because A, it gives us access to capital, B, it provided liquidity to the ESOP, which was very important for us to reward employees. And C, it gave us stock currency. And D, which was the unstated reason also, the fourth reason, which was it made our company virtually untakeoverable. With 3G coming in September, with broadband wireless coming immediately after that, with iPad clones expected from China at 12,000 rupees. I think everything's going to change in the next 2-3 years. I typically like businesses that create IP, whether it's brand, whether it's content, community, or algorithms, or whatever, technology. It's all IP based, and I really like those kind of businesses. Every round that we invested in Zomato, it has been against a competitive term sheet. So I remember the second round. Second round was, there was a verbal offer from a big VC, and I said, listen, do you really want to make 2 MISs, right? And do you really want to have to report to 2 VCs? It's so much easier, just take money from us and give us a 20% discount.
We actually didn't give him a 20% discount.
Let me assure you, if you are building your business largely on external funding, right, and you are not conscious of building the right model because you have the luxury of funding, when there's a downturn, and at that time, if you build this high-cost model with high burn and you can't pivot, there's going to be huge stress. It's time for young founders doing their first startup to perhaps get more conscious of the importance of good governance. And I do think it is the investor who will have to take the lead in coaching the founders.
The most important thing for a VC is the people. So they'll want to know, can you do it? And finally, they'll want to understand whether you understand that their goals and your goals are not exactly the same. You may want to run this business forever. They want to exit with a return. Have you thought through how these two will actually be brought together?
How have you actually seen the entrepreneurial mindset changing since 2008?
I think it's been very positive. One is, even though when things went down, we saw no difference in the number of entrepreneurs coming to us at the Indian Angel Network. As Kanwal was saying, hey, listen, this is a good time. I can get a good team. India was lucky because we didn't go ahead rock bottom, so we still had a market. Very good talent from even overseas was willing to come in and work with us.
What would your advice be to entrepreneurs who are looking at going the IPO route at this point in time, and if they don't feel the pressure like Sanjeev is?
I think you need to be very careful when you go for an IPO. I mean, amongst the other reasons that you just heard, you also need to be able to have a large amount of stock that's available when you do the IPO. Because the Indian stock markets, for sure, most companies were public.
Yeah.
Actually, not there yet. They shouldn't be public.
Right.
Because you do it, nobody covers your stock, you don't get traded, and all the public shareholders, in effect, just come croppers. So I think on IPO, the best thing is to wait for when you think, A, you largely have a handle on how your business is going to go.
Okay.
Can you predict quarter on quarter or half year on half year where you're going to go?
Yeah.
If you're not there yet, wait.
Okay.
And that's usually a good test, because if you're not mature, you will never be able to do it.
Well, that's Saurabh Srivastava and Sanjeev Bikhchandani, two very pivotal people who have helped build the Indian startup ecosystem. Time for us to head into a break here, but when we return, more from the Young Turks archive when we get back.